Hello everyone and welcome back to Journey to Med. If you are new here, my name is Hazal and I'm a second year medical student studying at Barcelona, London. And if you are not new here, thank you so much for tuning back into another video. As you can see from the title of today's video, it is going to be all about doing well in your online medical school interview. As some of you may be aware, the interview format for many medical schools has changed to an online setting this year due to social distancing restrictions. It says on the Medical School Council's documents that this year many interviews will be held online as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Make sure you are well prepared by reading the instructions sent to you by the university before the interview. And just to reiterate that, make sure you pay attention to all the emails you receive from your universities to ensure that you are not missing out on any essential information. Before we do get started, make sure you check out this video and this video on our channel where we talk about our story times from our interview experiences and also talk about how to prepare for your medical school interviews. This video is going to be all about what to do on the day to ensure your interview goes well. Okay, now we can get started. Number one tip, make sure you guys look at the camera. This thing right here, make sure you look at it. We already know how important eye contact is in a normal interview setting, but this is even more important in an interview that is online. The people interviewing you can't see your body language, they can't see if you're fidgeting, if you're sitting up straight. However, they can see if you are making eye contact with the camera. Obviously, still make sure you're sitting up straight and you're not fidgeting. However, if you are not making eye contact with the camera, it will really stand out because it'll be like you're looking up, down, around, and you might not even realize it. But if you're not looking at the camera, they're just going to think you're not as engaged and you're not paying attention. And of course, that's not the message you want to put across. So just guys, make sure you look into the camera. Number two, guys, speak with a smile.
Child. Anyway, so
even if you have to fake it, even if you have to force it, guys, speak with a smile. It literally improves everything you're saying and makes the quality of what you're saying 10 times better. Imagine if I did my videos like this. Hi guys, welcome back to Journey to Med. My name is Hazal, and in today's video we're just going to be talking about interview advice rather than hello guys and welcome back to Journey to Med. If you guys are new here, my name is Hazal. In today's video we're going to be talking about interview advice. Do you see the difference? I see the difference. Do you guys see the difference? Literally, it's 10 times better. So even if you have to fake it, even if you're not in the mood, even if you're really stressed or really worried, make sure you guys practice your fake smiling. And alongside this, make sure you guys don't speak in a monotonous voice. Make sure your voice is enthusiastic and it's vibrant and that you sound like you actually want to be there instead of like someone holding a gun to your head. You don't want to be monotonous. You don't want to be robotic. No one wants that. Remember guys, the interviewer is not there with you. So if you're bubbly, if you're enthusiastic, if you're smiling, that is really going to make you stand out from those other students that are not smiling, speaking in a monotonous voice and are just not enthusiastic. Presentation is really important. Just because you're at home, you're in your room, you're in your living room, you're not in an actual interview setting, doesn't mean that you don't dress appropriately. Make sure you're still wearing your smart clothing, whether that be your shirt, your blouse, whatever it may be, make sure it's smart. And alongside that, do try and make sure that your background is as plain as it can be. You don't want there to be too much going on in the background, as you want the interviewers to be focusing on you and not what's going on in your background. I know this is not possible for some people, but if it is possible for you, make sure you do put it in place. This actually goes hand in hand with the last one, but guys, please do make sure you are in a quiet environment if possible. Again, I know this can't be possible for every single person out there, but if it is possible for you, please do try. Of course, the interviewers will know that you're going to be at home and there are some things that you just can't control. However, you might want to consider talking to your family and talking to your parents and just letting them know that, look, at this time I do have an interview and I would appreciate if you could be silent because this interview is really important. Obviously, it's for a medical school application and I'm sure they will be understanding. If you let your family know in advance, they might be able to put some measures in place to make sure, for example, they're not at home when your interview is taking place. You know, they might go on a walk or they might go to the park, and this means that you might have the house to yourself to ensure that it's quiet and you can actually get your interview done with silence in the background. And alongside this, make sure your phone and all your other devices are on silent. If your phone went off during your interview, it's going to be so awkward and it's something that is genuinely so avoidable. So guys, make sure all your devices are on silent. I know a lot of us have really bad Wi-Fi, but try and fix it before your interview. If it means that you need to ask your family members to stop using the Wi-Fi for 20 minutes or 30 minutes until you finish your interview, then try and get that put in place, because you don't want there to be any sort of bad connection or lagging during your interview, as this might decrease the quality of your interview. Again, the interviewers know that you're having to rely on Wi-Fi, and some people just don't have good Wi-Fi. You know, I am one of those people. My Wi-Fi is absolutely crap, but just try and do anything you can, whether that means you use your data or you ask everyone else in your family to stop using the Wi-Fi during your interview, just to make sure that it isn't lagging. Try to get into the habit of speaking formally if you don't already. Of course, on a day-to-day basis, not many of us have to speak in a formal manner. However, in your interviews, you do need to be a bit more formal, as you are, of course, speaking to, you know, staff members from the university you do want to attend. And at the end of the day, it is an interview and you need to be professional and formal. So if you don't do this already, make sure you practice this when approaching your interview. One way you can do this is, for example, if you realize that you say like, basically, all these different phrases, if you realize you say them too many times, try to actively cut it out of your daily speech, as this will then mean that you decrease the amount of times you also say in your interview. I'm not saying be too formal and be robotic, but guys, make sure you're not being informal and understand that you're not talking to a friend, but you're talking to a staff member, an academic who's interviewing you. So make sure you're being professional and formal. Guys, repetition is a thing. Repetition is a thing. Repetition is a thing. Did you see what I did there? Did you see what? Did you? Repetition, I repeated because Stop, you're making me blush.
Bruh.
You may not mean to repeat things, however, guys, I promise you it happens unconsciously without you even realizing. Without even realizing, you might be repeating certain words or phrases. So make sure you do look out for this in your general day-to-day speech, because again, if you realize it in your daily speech, you can try to cut it out before your interview, so that in your interview, you are not repeating the same words over and over again. Guys, slow down. I know I'm not one to talk, I do speak really fast, but in your interview especially, you might not even realize, but because in your head there's a tick box of things you want to say, you might just be running through your answer without giving the interviewer some time to actually take in what you're saying. So guys, breathe and slow down. Understand that it's quality over quantity. You might have limited time in your interview, but that doesn't mean you need to run through every single thing that you've ever practiced in your interview preparation to get it all out and blurt it out and just give the interviewer everything, thinking that that's the right thing to do. However, no. You want to make sure that your answers are structured and they are well said. Don't make the interviewer use extra brain power to try to figure out what you're saying. It's not needed. It is okay to pause. If you come across a question that you just do not know the answer to, it is okay to say, that's a really good question. Is it okay if I take a minute to think about my answer? This will allow you to carefully compose your answer in your head and then say it in a way so that it is a quality answer and you are not rambling, you are not waffling, and you are calm and composed. It is also important to take breaks when you are speaking to sound less rehearsed. Obviously, you might not be rehearsing your answers on purpose, but if you do a lot of practice during your interview prep, it might come to a point where all your answers sound rehearsed because you have practiced them so many times. So make sure that you take breaks between your answers so that it doesn't sound like you are just speaking off of memory and not even paying attention to what you are saying. Guys, during your online interviews, please do not read off of your notes. If you do have any, it's going to be so obvious. You might think, oh, I can have my interview notes here because they're not going to see them on camera, but it's going to be obvious that you're reading off of notes. You might think you've perfected the skills, but guys, I promise you, whatever you do, it's going to be obvious if you are reading off of notes. So just don't do it. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to be caught out in your interview. I don't think it's worth it at all. So just don't do it.
Girl, don't do it. It's not worth it.
I've spoken a lot about having structure to your answers, and one way you can do this is by using the STAR method. So that's STARR. So that's situation, task, action, result, and reflection. I'll put it up on screen, but you can use this structure to make sure that you are touching on everything you want to touch on and that your answer progresses in a simple and understandable way. I actually found out about this structure from the MSAG free online interview course, which I'll put on screen here. I really do recommend you guys check it out. It's completely free and it helps me so much with my interview prep. If you guys want to show some great initiative in your interviews, expand on your answers without being prompted to. For example, if they ask you about the 2 key qualities that you think a doctor should have, you might say communication skills and team working skills. And then once you explain why the doctor needs them, then go on to saying how you have these skills. For example, you might say communication skills. Doctors need communication skills because of blah, 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 blah. One place where I have shown that I have good communication skills is blah, 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 blah. Linking qualities that a doctor has to your personal experiences is very impressive. So make sure you do that if you can, but also make sure that you are not talking for too long. Again, this comes with structure, but have a good structure to your answers and make sure you guys are not waffling and you are not rambling. I know I've repeated this quite a few times in this video, but it is really important, and the only way you can perfect this is by practice. By practicing, the person who's giving you feedback can be like, you ramble too much with this question, you waffle too much with this question, and then you can take in that constructive criticism and better your answers so that in your interviews all your answers are concise and of good quality. And finally, guys, the most cringiest one of all, be yourself. Don't be rigid, don't be robotic, don't be monotonous, don't try to put on a facade and be someone you are not. Just be yourself. I completely understand that it's easier said than done, especially when you feel like there's a certain way you need to answer a question and you just want to get it out and you just want the interview to go well. However, make sure that you guys are showing those interpersonal skills that you wrote about in your personal statement and show that interviewer that you are a good candidate, both academically, but also by showing the interviewer that you have all the skills needed to be a good doctor. All right, guys, that is about it. I have given you guys lots of tips in this video, and I do really hope that you find them useful and that you implement them into your own interview practice. I am wishing you guys all the best with all your interview prep and all your interviews. If you guys have received interview offers already, congratulations. But also if you haven't, do you understand that it is still really early and it can take up until February or even March to hear back from medical schools. So don't worry, but make sure you guys are practicing regardless. If you like this video, as always, make sure to like, comment and subscribe and follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in a new video next week. Bye.